Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Samantha Winona. This is Winona Reads. Today's video is going to be a September wrap-up. I read 11 books in the month of September. It is already halfway through October, which is crazy to me, but I wanted to... Sorry. So I just wanted to go over the books I read in September, and so I have a couple of books here that I also wanted to show. I was in a couple raffles within the last couple weeks, and so I was gifted a couple of books, and then I wanted to show my book of the month pick. I am going to leave a link in the comments below for book of the month. It is, I believe it is, if you sign up, excuse me, I feel like if you sign up as like a friend of mine, you get your first book for $5. After that it is $9.99 a month, and yeah, I've been loving their picks lately. So I have been, I'm not an affiliate, but I have been signed up for book of the month for a while, but I did take like a little hiatus because I wasn't meshing with their titles that they had. And recently they've had, like, the last couple of months have been really good titles, a lot of new releases, of course, but just a lot more diverse picks, I think. So I'll leave that down below. But yeah, let's just get started. A lot of these are either Kindle books or audiobooks, so I only have 2 here, physical copies. But the first one that I read in September was None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. I gave it 4 stars, and I loved this. This was an August pick. However, I waited till September to get like a little more like cozy mystery thriller, and I loved it. So this is about Josie and Alex. They are birthday twins, and which I didn't even know that was a thing, but maybe that's just my generation. I don't know if that's like a younger generation thing. But Alex is a podcaster, and she's, you know, for women empowerment and just brings a high feminine energy, and does a lot of interviews. And Josie is a mom of 2 who married a guy twice her age and had a very different upbringing. And as you kind of figure out, so Josie ends up talking to Alex and kind of figuring out her schedule, and asks her if she would like to base a podcast off of Josie's life, because her upbringing was very different. You know, her husband had met her when she was underage, and it was, you know, controversial and all of that. So Alex agrees, and as you get deeper into their relationship and deeper into the podcast and the interview, you really start to see, I don't want to spoil anything, but you start to see Josie kind of manipulate situations and past experiences. She really tries to get Alex to feel for her, and when stuff blows up towards the end, at first Alex is like, yeah, we need to help her, but there is more than meets the eye in the situation, and I'm not going to give away the ending, but it was just very intriguing, very well done. I think I only rated it a star lower just because the like start to it, like the whole birthday twins thing, like it didn't feel like, I don't know, it didn't feel like an organic, like, meet, not a meet cute, but like it didn't feel, I don't know how to explain it. Maybe it's just I don't think birthday twins are a real thing. It just seemed like the way that they met was kind of cheesy, fabricated, inorganic, but obviously it was needed to kind of set the stage for the podcast and everything else. So I liked it. I would recommend it. It's perfect for this time of year. After that, I listened to The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. I gave that 4 stars. That was about a female bodyguard. Female bodyguard. Jack is I believe he's an actor, and, you know, everyone swoons over him. He's gorgeous. Hannah is you know, assigned coverage of him. He has familial stuff going on at home, and she is in the process of a breakup. Her boyfriend at that time, or ex-boyfriend as it's happening, breaks up with her. They work together, so they still have to continue to work together after the situation. And then he starts talking to another coworker who she thought was her friend, and there's a lot more interesting stuff that like kind of gets brought up. Like when her boyfriend breaks up with her, he's like, you know, you're very surface level with me, like this wasn't love. And at first you're like, is he just telling her that so that it like makes him feel better to like cut it off? It's just it's an interesting, like, it's not a personality trait, but like that character development I think is what made this book so good. And so you kind of see her in the beginning of it all going through, you know, are my relationships surface level, and you know, how actually do I feel about this? How do I feel about my friendship with this girl who I thought we were friends, but she's telling me that we're, you know, co-working friends. Excuse my phone. So yeah, she puts all of that aside and is like, yes, I'll do this, you know, bodyguard trip. I'll go back to his hometown, and, you know, she puts herself in a different situation to get out of what she's in at the moment. And so she is his bodyguard. There is that close proximity. I wouldn't really say it's grumpy to sunshine. She is a little bit grumpy, but I just think it's, you know, everything that she's going through. And Jack kind of hears some of, you know, behind the scenes of what she's going through, and they start to, of course, rely on each other more. Then a relationship forms, and, you know, there is something that happens at the end that was, you know, very encompassing for the whole plot, and I loved it. I thought it was really good. I don't want to spoil the ending. I liked the character development between not only Hannah and her issues, but like Jack has family issues, especially with his brother, and his mom is sick, so there is a lot. You know, it's not a surface level read. There is a lot going on to the characters and to the plot, and it all meshed together very easily, and her writing was very easy, so I did really like it. Hold on one second. Okay, sorry. We have had so much going on this week, so this is why I really want to get this done, and I excuse if my phone interrupts, but I need to leave the ringer on. We have had so much going on. I have the biggest headache, but I want to get this done because it is, like I said, mid-October. My daughter had her tonsils out, and she did great during the surgery, and the first day was fine, the second day was fine, and that second night everything just went to hell, honestly. She was in the hospital for dehydration. We went home, she was fine, woke up the next morning. I'm not going to go into details, but it was a very scary 4 a.m. drive back to the hospital, and she was diagnosed with pneumonia, so now she is on medication. It has just been a week of not sleeping, a week of a lot of emotions, and so my husband is at the grocery store we're trying to catch up. You know, there's a lot of rooms that are messy and cleaning that needs to be done, and I'm trying to just ignore it for the moment, which is hard for me personally. I am not that person. But like our room, her bed is, you know, our bed, her bed. She's been taking turns in between sleeping on her bed or coming up into my bed, and she'll sleep with me, and then my husband will sleep on her bed on the floor. Medication around the clock. It's just been a lot. So, but yeah, he is interrupting me because he's trying to grocery shop for me. So after that, the next one I read was The Family Game by Catherine Steadman, 2.5 to 3 stars I gave it. It was an audiobook. I don't know if that is what made the difference for me, in a negative way, I mean. I can see why other people enjoy it. I just didn't really think the follow through, like the plot is a good idea, but I think the follow through was just kind of lacking. This was about Harry, who is a writer, or Harriet, they call her Harry, and Edward. They are going to get married. She hasn't met his family. There's some sort of dynamic where there's issues with his family. They are very rich and just kind of take over lives in that sense once you are, you know, committed to their family. And she finds out she's pregnant, so she wants to meet everybody now that they are getting married and having a baby. So they go to a family dinner, and there are hints about these family game structures that they do that are very intense, and, you know, they're like, well, we don't know if we want to put Harriet through that or Harry through that because she's pregnant. And, you know, she's like, well, no, I'll give myself a chance, you know, to step it up and prove myself to you guys. And a lot more happens. There is a thriller aspect to it. There is a lot that happens at the end. I don't know. I think the way that I listened to it, nothing shocked me. I didn't really care about the characters. I wasn't enveloped in the story. And again, I don't know if that's because it was an audiobook. I just don't think her writing style is for me. And a couple of the other things that, you know, throughout the book, I forget, one of the sisters, or maybe it was a sister-in-law, I just did not, like, the character was very surface level. I mean, a lot of the characters were surface level, but I just felt like she was just thrown in there to just kind of, like, be a bitch, and that's it. And it just seemed like why, like, not that it wasn't purposeful, but I'm like, why is she in here? And then, like, in the beginning when Harry meets Edward's father, and she's like, oh my gosh, this man is so good looking, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's such a weird dynamic. Like, you're attracted to the guy's dad. Like, I don't know. I just didn't vibe with it. I don't think her writing style is for me, and I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't think I'm gonna be reading any of her other stuff. I have a lot of stuff that I want to get to, and I just didn't mesh with it, and that's okay. But I do see why other people like it, and so yeah. After that, I read With Regrets by Lee Kelly. I gave that 4 stars. That was a new release, and also a book club pick for my book club that I am unfortunately just very lacking at the moment in participating in, and I do apologize for anyone that is in the book club. We have had a lot going on, and I have been very much devoting myself to being more present for my kids, and that has just become who I am at the moment. And so reading is still very much you know, important part of my life, and I do it all the time, but the extracurriculars have been a little bit difficult for me, like posting this video, you know, 2 weeks after October started, or just following through on some things. So I do apologize to my book club members. So after that was With Regrets by Lee Kelly. I gave that 4 stars. That was interesting, and I did really enjoy it. It was not what I was expecting at all. So I thought it was going to be sort of like Big Little Lies by, I think it's Leanne Moriarty, and it does have that dynamic. So this is about it takes place all in one night. It is a 7-course meal with 7 people, and I believe all their kids go to the same school, so they're all parents at the school. Some of the wives come with their husbands. The husbands stay back with the kids, and hell breaks loose. So the one that's hosting is, you know, very gossipy, wants her life to look perfect, and it is far from that. Her husband has a lot of issues that he is hiding or trying to hide from her, and she is just very much into making sure her media is picture perfect. And I think that is something that's very prominent in our generations today. So I did expect that from the book, and I did expect the, you know, different relationships to be kind of gossipy and, you know, have that waspy air to it. But then there is a twist where it has like a sort of dystopian theme. I don't know if I would call it dystopian, but it has a twist, maybe a sci-fi twist, where things start going wrong, and there are these glimmering clouds in the sky and people start dying and acting strangely. Like the neighbor comes over and starts like, I think she was like banging on the windows to try to get in. Like it starts messing with them and making them aggressive, I think, and then they die from it. So the people are kind of bunkered into this one house, and then there's, you know, a couple different twists, but there are some people that want to leave, and how do you leave if you don't know it's safe, that kind of thing. So yeah, it was so interesting. Oh, and I meant to mention, like, I think the internet and the phones and stuff don't work, so like they're just waiting for people to, you know, somehow let them know that everything is all fixed. But I thought it was so interesting, and yeah, it was not what I was expecting, so I definitely liked that book a lot. And I actually haven't seen that many people read it, so I would be interested. If you have read it, let me know your thoughts down below. I haven't seen anyone pick it up or any reviews on here. So after that, I read The Assistant to the Villain by Nicole Hannah Mayer. I gave that 4 stars. And this was another one that kind of surprised me. I didn't, not that I didn't think I would like it that much, but I just thought it would be, you know, something quick. It's a newer release, and I thought it would be something quick that I kind of just, you know, read and maybe not remember as much, but I do remember a lot of the storyline, and I liked the characters. So this is about Evie, and she takes a job with well, he doesn't have a name. He's just the villain. I don't remember why she takes the job, if I'm being honest. I think something happened. She needed money for her family, maybe. And at first I thought it was going to be sort of like a Beauty and the Beast retelling. You know, she's going to stay with the bad guy. And I thought like maybe she was the one to kind of like make him not the villain. But it's not that at all. And I'm glad it wasn't that, because it was just so enjoyable. There's a lot of dry humor, which I also enjoy, and I feel like not a lot of people liked the humor in it, and that's, you know, it's not for everyone, that's fine, but I thought it was funny. And so yeah, they are, you know, working together, and the attachment grows between them, and even through, you know, the killings and cleaning up all his messes and getting into trouble and her getting hurt and all this different stuff, you know, they do fall for each other. I know that it is going to be a multi-book, like a series. Why did that take me so long? It's going to be a series. This is going to be the first installment, so I am going to read the other ones. Yeah, I recommend it. I thought it was so cute, and another one that's like really good for this time of year. After that, I finished The White Album by Joan Didion. I gave that 3.5 stars. I do have that downstairs. I just don't feel like going to get it. Sorry. This was a discussion, or I guess short story piece by Joan Didion about her life in the 60s. And I did start this in July when we went to Phoenix, and I just finished it in September. I took a break because the middle was just kind of dry for me. The beginning really kicked off fast. She talked about the Black Panther Party and a lot of the racial issues of the 60s. And since I am not from the 60s, I thought it was so informative, but also entertaining is not the right word. Very capturing. It was interesting to see her point of view, because she is a white woman. It was interesting to see her point of view on everything that was going on. And it wasn't like, you know, a news article. It was just very honest, and it was written like a journal, but like a very smart person journal, if that makes sense. Like, it wasn't like, today this happened, but like just the way that she writes. I like her writing style a lot. But throughout the middle, I honestly don't even remember the middle pieces. I think some of it was like political, about the presidency and that stuff, and that kind of lost me a little bit, and so I put it down for a while, and then I picked it back up, and the ending I really enjoyed as well. She had a piece about, you know, her migraines and health, and also being a woman during the 60s, and her place, you know, in the world. and I liked seeing that side of it as well. I liked, you know, having kind of a cultural piece about what was going on in that generation, and, you know, it did cover a lot of bases. It covered a lot of things, so it was definitely interesting. I just, you know, kind of tuned out during the middle, and that was unfortunate, but I have other books of hers. I am definitely going to keep reading her. And yeah, I would recommend it. I did like it. After that, I listened to My Roommate is a Vampire by Jenna Levine. I give that like 3.5 stars. And this was a debut about Cassie, and I think she loses her job or something happens. I never remember the beginning of the book. Something happens with her apartment. She finds a want ad for someone looking for a roommate, and the price for the neighborhood is extremely low, and she's like, what the heck? So she goes to look. She falls in love with the place, and the guy Frederick, she's like attracted to, but she's like, okay, we're keeping this like very roommate level. And then the more she gets to know him, she's like, where is this guy from? Like, he doesn't know the prices of things. He doesn't know what certain things are, like, you know, the internet or social media or stuff like that. And then she comes to find out, obviously, her roommate is a vampire. And then a romance sparks, and there's, you know, compassion between the two of them, even though they are a huge age difference. Yeah, I mean, I think it did the job that it was meant to do. It was very lighthearted, very entertaining. I mean, I would recommend it. I think it's a cute read. I wouldn't, like, buy a physical copy of it, and I wouldn't reread it. It's just one of those that, like, I'm glad to have listened to it, and I'm glad to have borrowed it from the library. But I don't see myself going back to it. I would read her stuff again, for sure. It just, I don't know. There was nothing that, like, really pulled me into the storyline, if that makes sense. There wasn't a deeper connection. So that's why I kind of rated it a little bit lower, but I still enjoyed it. After that, I read Down and Out in Paris and London by George Orwell. I gave this 3.75 stars. It is a fictional memoir about poverty in Paris and London during the 1920s. This was really good. I did rate it a little bit lower because I liked his, well, I've only read one other work of his, 1984. I think I read Animal Farm a long time ago, but I don't remember it, so I'm only basing 1984 for his writing style. And I do like his writing style. I just liked his other piece more, and I don't know if that's because it's fiction compared to memoir, but this was very eye-opening. I feel like when you hear about the 20s, you hear about all the parties and the glitz and the glam and, you know, the Fitzgeralds and all the mansions that are being built and the fancy dresses and the champagne. And this was the other side of it. And I appreciated reading his stuff. Some of it was very uncomfortable, and you are supposed to be uncomfortable reading it. This is a hard life. He talks about going from job to job, some days having a job for just that day, some days having a job for a couple of days, a week, a couple months, having a place to stay. Talks about other people who are going through a homeless situation, and the discussions, for me, that was the cringy part. Some of the discussions, I think it would be a little bit triggering for people who have either had very impoverished situations, or there is one story about a guy who is pretty forceful with a woman when he finally, you know, gets a job for a day and makes money, and he's forceful with a younger girl. So that would be really triggering, and that was really cringe for me. But other than that, I think how dirty and uncomfortable and just the other side of the 20s felt, I think this is something that a lot of people should read. It was very interesting, and yeah, I look forward to reading more of his stuff. After that, I read The Coworker by Frida McFadden. I gave that 4 stars. That was a Kindle Unlimited read. I had it on Kindle Unlimited, and I think my library had it on audio, so I did half and then finished the other half. And this was about Dawn and Natalie for the most part. Dawn is very punctual at her punctual at her job, and so the morning that she does not show up on time, Natalie pays attention, she makes note, and she feels like something is wrong. Like in her gut, she's like, something is wrong. I'm gonna go check it out. She does get a phone call saying help me at Dawn's desk. She like picks it up and it says help me. So she goes over to Dawn's house to check it out, and she sees blood on the floor and calls the cops, does all the right things, and then the situation kind of turns around and she goes from a person of, you know, compassion and wanting to know what happened to person of interest, and you kind of see the other side of their relationship where they weren't really that nice to each other. Natalie is kind of actually a bully, and so things, you know, aren't as they seem in the beginning. You find out more throughout. It is very entertaining, it's very captivating. You know, fly right through it, you read it till the end, which I think a lot of her work is like that. So I am interested in reading more of her stuff, and there were some twists throughout and at the end that I weren't expecting. So especially for like a lot of her stuff is on Kindle Unlimited right now, so to go through, you know, that in, you know, a day or two, I think it was definitely worth it, and I enjoyed it. I know that everyone is reading her other series. I think The Housemaid, and there's a second one, and a third one is going to be released soon. I haven't read those, but I definitely would consider it after reading that one. After that was You Again by Kate Goldbeck. I gave that 3.75. This was supposed to be a Harry Met Sally sort of vibe retelling where they have a meet. I wouldn't say a meet cute, they just have a meet, and then over time they meet and meet and meet over the years, and then form a relationship. And not necessarily, I don't mean relationship as in like, I just mean there's substance there. It doesn't mean a loving relationship. But they are, you know, grumpy and sunshine, sort of, or grumpy and grumpy, honestly. I rated this a little lower because I think I had higher expectations, but I'm struggling with my rating because I had high expectations because I thought it was going to be this one thing. I thought it was going to be Harry Met Sally retelling. I was ready for that comfort, the big chunky sweaters, the fall leaves, and some of that was there. What I wasn't ready for was the realistic side of a romance. The characters suffer from depression and anxiety, and I think it is very well represented in the characters, but I just wasn't expecting that going in. I thought it was going to be a little bit more lighthearted, a little bit like more of just a fall read and not like an invested character. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. I didn't dislike it. I did like it. It just wasn't what I was expecting. And it wasn't a letdown, but it just, the expectation not being met, it just like wasn't in a good way. Like it wasn't like, oh, it wasn't what I was expecting and I loved it. I was like, oh, like it was good, but I was just like, oh, like I wish that went different. But this was about Ari, who is a commitment phobe. She meets, what's his name? Josh? What's his name? Yeah, Josh. Ari is a commitment phobe. Josh is dating her roommate at the time. And so they meet in the apartment. Cut to, I don't know, however long after, they meet again somehow. They keep running into each other. They live in New York City, so running into each other, like they must live next to each other because otherwise you don't run into each other all the time. In New York City, I mean. So they keep bumping into each other, and then after a while it turns into, you're going through something, I'm going through something, let's help each other get through it together. And then Josh, because he is not a commitment phobe, starts having feelings. Ari does too, but she won't admit that she is getting feelings. And then it kind of dives into other stuff from there. And at the end you get, you know, the happy ending. I would recommend it. I think it's good. It just wasn't what I was expecting. So if you were just thinking of Harry Met Sally, that's not what you're gonna get in here, besides meeting over the years. Yes? After that, my last one, I read The Pearl by John Steinbeck. I gave it 5 stars. Chef's kiss. It was so good. And honestly, I don't know why it has a lower rating on Goodreads. Like, why are more people not rating this 5 stars? I don't understand. I don't think I've read his other work. Excuse my dog. I don't think I've read his other work, but I loved this. I don't have anything to compare it to, so maybe that is why. But the story behind it holds so much importance, and it is something that is transcending through generations. I just don't understand why people wouldn't read it higher. So Kino's a new father. He has a baby with his wife. They're not married yet. They want to get married. He has a baby with her, and the baby is stung by a scorpion. They want to go to a doctor, and they're in a impoverished town, so they have to travel outside of their town. When they travel outside of the town and they make that trip, the doctor declines them because they don't have money and they are from a impoverished town. So instead of taking the baby being sick into account, all they care about is money. So the baby goes unseen, and then the wife-to-be wishes for a pearl so that they can, you know, have money and have fortune and sell it to help their baby. And that ends up happening almost immediately. But then come the issues of everything that comes with having, you know, money and wealth in a impoverished area. People are trying to hurt Kino. They start beating him up, and he does not defend himself. It's just a discussion about, you know, the downfall after having wealth if you don't start that way. It talks about the class system. It's all very loose. I will say that. It is very loose. But I just think the theme is so important, and I would recommend it. It was so good. So those are my 11 books that I read in September. After getting all of that done, I did start a couple of different things on Kindle. I really haven't been vibing that much with a lot, but I just think my head is in such a anxiety-driven state right now that I really am not focusing on anything. I started September House. I don't really like it. I kind of put it off. I am currently in the middle of Killers of a Certain Age by Deanna something. Actually, I have one of her other books here. Let me see. By Deanna Raybourn. I am actually listening to it while I read it because that's how distracted my brain is right now. But I am enjoying it. So that'll be in October's wrap-up. But I did want to go over some of the books I was gifted and say thank you to everybody. So these are all books that I won on a raffle or was gifted. I was gifted one by one of my friends. So first, this is the one that I picked up from Book of the Month for September. It is Starling House by Alex Harrow, and a lot of people are saying this is really good, so I am really excited. It seems like it's going to be something I haven't read before, and I'm here for it. I love the dark cover. It just sounds really interesting, and Opal has been obsessed with the Underland since she was a child. When she gets the chance to step inside Starling House and make some extra cash for her brother's escape fund, she can't resist. But sinister forces are digging deeper into the buried secrets of Starling House, and Arthur's own nightmares have become far too real. As Eden itself seems to be drowning in its own ghosts, Opal realizes that she might finally have found a reason to stick around. So welcome to Starling House. Enter if you dare. I don't know. It just sounds like something twisted and perfect for October. After that is the Deanna Raybourn that I was just talking about. It is the first book in the Veronica Speedwell mystery series called A Curious Beginning. Sorry, that just cut off again. My friend Brittany actually gifted this to me, and it was such a nice surprise to get this in the mail the other day. She knows how, you know, stressed and everything that's been going on, so yeah, this was a nice surprise. And I have seen a lot of people reading the series, so I never have, and I thought, let's try it out. So this is London, 1887. It says, after burying her spinster aunt, orphaned Veronica Speedwell is free to resume her world travels in pursuit of a scientific inquiry and the occasional romantic dalliances. As familiar with hunting butterflies as fending off admirers, Veronica intends to embark on the journey of a lifetime, but fate has other plans. She thwarts her own attempted abduction with the help of an enigmatic German baron who offers her a sanctuary in the care of his friend Stoker, a reclusive and bad-tempered natural historian. But before the baron can reveal what he knows of the plot against her, he is found murdered. Interesting. So yeah, I think that's going to be a fun read. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of, not like the storyline or like the plot, but like it just sounds kind of like maybe like a V.E. Schwab kind of book, like the, what's that, City of Ghosts? I really enjoyed that. That was YA, so I don't think this is. But I think it's going to be one of those that like you kind of get addicted and keep reading to find out what happens next in the series. So I definitely am interested in that. I always say that. That's going to be my catchphrase. I'm interested in that. This is Winona Reads, and I'm interested in that. There's a bunch of stickers on this. This was gifted to me through one of the raffles, so thank you. I'm going to post my Instagram down below. I did thank them on Instagram. I unfortunately didn't keep the gift tag that comes with it, so I do not remember the handle. I'm sorry, but I am also new. I've never been gifted before, so I am new at this. So now it is noted. I will keep who these are from. So this is Before You Knew My Name by Jacqueline Bublitz. This has been on my list for quite a while, my Amazon TBR. This says, when she arrived in New York on her 18th birthday carrying nothing but $600 in cash and a stolen camera, Alice Lee was looking for a fresh start, but just 1 month later, she is the city's latest Jane Doe. But this is not just another story about a dead girl. This is where her story starts. The killer still roams the city, and the woman who discovered her body can't let the moment or her bond with Alice go. But as Ruby Jones gets closer to the truth of what happened, Alice fears she is also getting closer to the same tragic fate. Right? Right? Interesting. Very cute. This is a little bit dirty. That's the problem with Amazon books. They always come kind of wonky. Like, it was bent, it has a bunch of stickers on the back, and some of the pages have schmutz on them. But that's okay. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Can't wait to read it. I wonder when this came out though, because this is a thriller that I have not heard anyone else reading, unless maybe it has a new cover or something. Like, has anyone else read this? 2021, so it's not even that old. I've never seen anyone pick this up. Interesting. Maybe I'll do that soon. And then this one was Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. I did see the same author in the book of the month, but I knew I was being gifted this, so I did not pick the book of the month with the same author, just in case I didn't mesh with, you know, the writing. But I did want to give this a try, and this is Emery Blackwood's life changed forever the night her best friend was found dead, and the love of her life, August, was accused of murdering her. Years later, she is doing what her teenage self swore she never would, living a quiet existence on a misty remote shore of an island, and running the family's business, a tea shop, who does tea readings. But when the island, rooted in folklore and magic, begins to show signs of strange happenings, Emery knows that something is coming. In the morning, she wakes to find the single tree has turned color in a single night. August returns for the first time in 14 years. Ooh. See, that sounds really interesting. So I hope I vibe with the writing, because that sounds really good. Really, really good. Cool. After that, I was gifted Bunny by Mona Awad. I am late to the game on this one, I know, but everyone says this is very twisted, and one of those books that when you're done reading it, you're like, what the fuck did I just read? And that's okay with me, so I cannot wait to pick this up. This is another, it's not really a thriller. I don't know what you would call it. This says, a scholarship student who prefers the company of her dark imagination to that of most people, Samantha Mackey is utterly repelled by the rest of her graduate fiction writing cohort at Warren University, a clique of unbearably saccharine yet sinister rich girls who call each other Bunny and seem to move and speak as one. I'm sorry. Okay. I'm just gonna keep going because I only have one more left. But yeah, this sounds so interesting. I cannot wait to pick it up. And thank you again to who gifted this to me. I did, like I said, thank you on Instagram. But I will next time keep your Instagram tags so that I can tag you on here. But thank you. The last one that has also been on my list for a while is There. This is by Tommy Orange. It follows 12 characters from Native communities, all traveling to Big Oakland powwow, all connected to one in another way they may not realize. Among them...
Oh, sorry, I didn't know you were...
It's okay.
The flower pot was upside down on the couch. It's all over.
Alright, I'll be done in a second. Among them is Jackie Feather, newly sober and trying to make it back to the family she left behind. Danae, pulling his life together after his uncle's death, working the powwow to honor his memory. 14-year-old Orville, coming to perform traditional dance for the first time. I am so interested in reading more about Native American culture, and this has been on my list for a while. I have seen a couple people pick it up recently because having, you know, Indigenous Day the other day, but this is something that I do want to pick up soon and has been on my list for a while, so I am very excited to get to it. That is everything. I was just notified that the flower pot is all over my couch. There is dirt everywhere and flowers everywhere, so I am going to clean that up and hopefully have a better start this week. Tomorrow is Monday and I'm scared. I'm not gonna lie, I'm scared. But yeah, you do what you do. So, cold tea, but cheers. I hope you guys have a good fall. I hope you enjoy what you're reading, and I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.